Welcome back, folks. Hi.
Hi.
Matt Head is back with us. Joining us.
Sorry.
Matt Head Part 2. John Carpenter Part 2.
Head to the
Sorry.
second power.
Don't you apologize, sir. So we're everybody, we're glad to have Matt back. Bill is still gone this week again.
Yeah, glad to be back in his stead.
So, yeah, that's right. Keep the seat warm. Keep the mic warm. Don't spit on it. I don't even know whose mic is who anymore. I don't know. So John Carpenter Part 2.
John Carpenter Part 2.
We left off with my favorite. What is it called? Escape from New York.
That little film.
Yeah. And we'll just roll right into Part 2. Is that good?
Yeah, roll right in. And since we're rolling from your favorite, I guess we're rolling right into mine.
And my father's, if I might add, and my wife's.
Which would be The Thing.
The Thing.
The Thing.
My second favorite John Carpenter film. If I thought about it hard enough, it would tie for first, but second favorite. Yeah.
Well, back to back.
Indeed.
Both starring Kurt Russell.
In his second kick-ass role for John Carpenter.
And this movie, how do I even begin? It's my favorite for so many reasons, because it takes what was your haunted house story and turns it on its head, and takes it in a completely different direction than anyone else had ever done before.
Yeah.
It pushed the effects of that time to their height before CG really took over.
Rob Bottin
dominated. Rob Bottin. Makeup effects amazing.
God damn it.
The beginning before K&B.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah.
Yep. And it's just an all-around fantastic film. So to just start the story, you take a research team out in the Arctic, gets a distress call from, I believe they were the Swedish.
They're Norwegian, Mac.
Norwegian.
As he keeps telling them, hey, Swedish! They're Norwegian, Mac.
The Norwegian.
Right.
And, they get this distress call, come to discover a decimated camp, where obviously they've made a discovery.
Yeah, they did. They found a ship.
Yeah, found a ship underneath the ice.
Yes.
And obviously cored their way into it, and something square has been extracted.
Indeed.
And it appears something may have come out of that extraction.
Indeed. Yeah, literally. Yeah, right.
And really, the story just rolls from there.
Oh, my God.
It never lets the tension down as his movies tend not to. But when this movie in particular gets rolling, it just rolls from a dog kennel into your face and just rolls.
Best line in that is from the great Richard Mouser. What is it? I don't know, but it's weird and pissed off.
Love it. So good. So good. So when this dog that's being shot at by a helicopter, and if they're under this death mission to kill this dog, just figure it has rabies or something and needs to be put down.
Dong dong. Dong dong.
Oh, so good. Oh. And the moment that this thing penetrates their camp, it just immediately takes over. And
quite literally takes over.
Quite literally.
These guys.
And you have this whole turn on the head from the haunted house story, where generally it's you have a large cast, they start getting picked off one by one, they must band together against this force, and circumstance will drive them apart. Whereas as this story rolls along, you become more and more weary of the cast you've known throughout the whole movie.
Yeah.
Is it the thing? Is it a person? And it has a way of the group scenes being more terrifying.
That was the tagline on the poster, by the way. Who is the thing?
and he keeps you guessing.
Because you don't know.
He really does.
Until when the final credits roll, you don't know.
Yeah. Right. One of the best endings of all time.
Exactly.
So ambiguous.
Yeah, it's wonderful.
Well, what say you, Anthony, about this terrible film?
It's aight. Yeah. It's my second favorite Carpenter. like I said, my dad took me on my birthday. It opened up my birthday weekend.
Awesome.
Summer of 82. And he took me and my buddy Tom Dorr to see it. And he took me again the next day. And then he and his friend Mike Lowe and me the next day. And the following weekend we went one more time. And when it hit video, it was ridiculous. We watched it all the time. Yeah, it's
Watched
just...
it so much your favorite scenes would burn out.
Yeah, the thing, it is just... And by the way, it's the first of only 3, like I said earlier, John Carpenter movies that he doesn't do his own score. The great Ennio Morricone, my favorite film composer, did the score. And it's weird because if you listen to the score, Carpenter just kind of had him do it Carpenter-esque. So you're like, Carpenter, you got Morricone, why didn't you just do the score yourself and get him for another movie and let him do his own shit? But it sounds very
studio decided they wanted another name.
Exactly.
So I wrote it and said, play this.
Right, exactly. Ennio, I know you are a respected composer and you've done some of my favorite, this is John Carpenter's argument, some of my favorite films, but do this. Right.
And it ended up being one of your favorite scores
and he
from
said,
one of your
yeah,
favorite
and then he
music.
says, bellissimo! Yeah. No, it's fantastic. Like you said, the tension factor is amazing. And for those of you who don't know, it's a remake of, as we spoke in part 1, Howard Hawks is the Thing from Another World, with James Arness as the old-fashioned monster. Matt Dillon. Yeah.
Equally plays.
And it's terrifying. A great film. Yeah, even all these years later. Like,
well, I don't know about equally.
They go literally door to door looking for the monster, and that creates tension. They open about 50 fucking... It's a movie where people open doors. And it's terrifying. Yeah, it's
and
terrifying.
every door, you're like, I'm sure it's there. And then all of a sudden, there it is.
There he is, standing there, and it's fucking frightening. Yeah. And I can imagine being a kid at that time, as Carpenter and my father have spoken about, seeing that movie as like an 8, 9-year-old.
Oh, yeah.
Carpenter said he ran out of the theater. He couldn't go back in. It scared him to death.
Scared his pants off, and thus he had to read the story, The Thing from Another World.
Right. Who Goes There is what the story's called.
Who Goes There, correct. Yeah. Who Goes There. Yeah. Which he decided that he was going to make a more faithful telling of.
And he did.
And he did.
And it's a little bit of blood. Just a little bit.
Just a little bit.
He was groundbreaking with Halloween and how he did it.
With no blood.
He was groundbreaking.
Except for a drip
no
that
blood.
comes out of the eye of the mask.
Exactly.
That's it.
He broke ground with post-apocalyptic futuristic society with Escape from New York. And he once again broke ground with fucking special effects. It is still to this day my jaw drops in a lot of those scenes. It's amazing.
If you tell me what defines horror special effects, i.e. the old-fashioned animatronics and makeup work, this is the film that I think of. Yeah. American Werewolf comes close in, and you had Baker doing, stuff there too.
I was going to say, Rob Bottin was a student of Rick
Baker.
Yeah.
Right.
And they both did, at the same time, they both, again, broke ground. American Werewolf in London and The Howling the same year. Baker did American Werewolf and Bottin did the Howling.
Correct.
And they're to this day the most amazing transformations ever on film. Ever.
And one took it and made it a damn I love being a werewolf, let me transform and scare the shit out of you. And the fact that in The Howling, that when they turn into the wolf, you can tell that their consciousness is still there.
Yeah, exactly.
And that was something unique to The Howling that I still think is unique. Mm-hmm. You went on to do Howling 2, which had more big breasts than I've ever seen.
Oh my goodness gracious. Sybil Danning, God bless her. I met her at a horror convention. She's still Sybil Danning.
That goddamn extra, that outro music, right. Where it just shows her ripping her top open over and over again.
That was truly nothing to do with The Howling, by the way. And by the way, the subtitle of The Howling 2 is Help, Your Sister's a Werewolf.
And we have Christopher Lee.
And rest in peace, the great Christopher Lee, yeah. Oh, probably saying, what the bloody hell am I doing?
Rest in peace.
Yeah, my God. For those of you who haven't listened to it yet, we did the week he died, we did a tribute show to Christopher Lee. If you haven't listened to it yet, It's on the Facebook page. Please listen to it. I'm pretty proud of it.
Worth it.
Good. Did you hear that one?
I did.
Very nice.
Very good.
So yeah, where were we? The Thing. Right. I love these tangents. That's what makes it. Everybody is so good in The Thing. Kurt Russell, of course. Listen, forget about John Carpenter movies. Kurt Russell has always been one of my all-time favorite actors, and I think he's highly underrated. I think he's a great actor, and he's so much fun. And you know what? For those of you who own The Thing, I know a lot of people never watch it with the commentary on. It's the greatest commentary I've ever heard. It's John Carpenter and Kurt Russell. And they're cracking each other up through the whole thing, and they get, like we are doing on our show, they start talking about their kids' Little League games and bullshit umpires, and then Carpenter keeps saying, maybe we should get back to the movie. And Kurt Russell, he does that boisterous laugh that he has, and it's an infectious, and I couldn't turn. Usually with commentaries, I'll zip through them. I listened to the entire thing twice.
Yeah.
It's great fun.
Yeah.
But no, The Thing, it's a great movie. Stylistically, the way he went is amazing. It's scary. It's gross in a fun way.
And speaking of that grossness, as we were talking about the makeup effects in this movie, let's break down a few of these scenes here, because they really deserve to be talked about.
They do. You're right.
And
Let's do it.
If you're talking about one that really showcases the movie, you have to talk about the heart attack.
I was about to say, that's my favorite one. That's the best, because that scene, it starts out, and we'll talk about it in a second, does what it does, and then you're like, wow, that was amazing. And then continues, and you're like, Jesus Christ! And at the time, you'd never seen anything like that.
Oh.
Never.
And to paint this picture.
Yeah. Tell them about the scene.
You have this character who's actually one of the cooler, more understandable characters, kind of easygoing in the film.
And I always liked that guy, and I never knew his name.
Yeah.
And he was in everything in the 80s, and I never knew his name. Yeah.
And I don't.
Yeah, I don't either.
Can't help you there.
He was in Nightwing. Remember that movie with the bats?
God.
Not very good.
No, not at all.
Anyway, go on.
Stephen King adaptation, wasn't it?
No. You're thinking Night Shift.
Oh, no.
Nightwing has bats and Nick Mancuso. It's not. Don't even worry about it.
No, I was thinking of the Midnight something where the vampire drives a plane. Made into a TV movie.
Vampire drives a plane. Night Flyer.
Night Flyer.
Yeah, that sucked.
Yeah, it was terrible.
That was all. And that guy wasn't in it. Yeah. Or probably was. I don't know.
So anyway, dude face guy has a heart attack. You're really feeling bad for him. You want him to pull through. The doc's there. He's administering, the, what do you call them?
What are those?
Clear.
Somebody
those back things. To life. Yeah, those things.
What are those called?
Oh, God.
Damn it.
Yeah.
Anyway, go on.
So he's shocking him back to life.
Yeah.
And upon his second or third shocking of the chest, this chest rips open with jagged teeth, bites down on his down-plunging hands, rips them off.
Keep in mind, it's the stomach that opens. His stomach is a mouth.
A stomach through the chest, the whole midsection.
There it is.
Great. And it just chomps this guy's arms off, proceeds to have tentacles come out and flop around with yellow goo squirting out.
That's what it was doing.
Damn dog's head monster, because when it first came to the camp, it assimilated the dogs. It pops out in this grotesque fashion, and they roast it. The head proceeds to not just pop off.
Yeah, it doesn't pop off.
It slides, slinks.
Charles Hallahan is the name of that actor. Charles Hallahan. Anyway, go on. I'm sorry.
And goos and rips himself free, and then proceeds to run away. Awesome side note, the way they accomplished that was a remote control car.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Just think about it and shoot it, people.
Exactly. And a very quick side note, rest in peace. He died at the age of 54 of a heart attack. That's sad. And he was in so much.
That does suck.
Yeah. That guy was really good. I always liked him.
He died of a heart attack.
Died of a heart attack.
And thus we're talking about the heart attack scene.
And that's the best scene in in the thing.
Kind of fucked up.
That's really not good. Yeah.
So
but
anyway, awesome scene and this great movie. And
sorry to the Callahan family, right? Is that what I said? Callahan? Yeah.
Callahan. Well,
sorry to the Callahan.
Again, likable character. You know, the scene wouldn't have worked otherwise.
No, it wouldn't have.
And so many scenes that go on. You have a character who sold Quaker State for so long.
Quaker Oats.
Quaker Oats.
The great Wilford Brimley.
Quaker State.
Quaker State. He sold oil.
Quaker Oats.
Quaker Oats. Wilford Brimley. I love Wilford Brimley. Always plays Wilford Brimley, except in that movie. He's different.
Movie. And he shaved his face for it, too.
He
was also beardless.
I'm okay now. You can let me back in. I'm okay now.
I'm okay now. And the thing is, for a little while, you kind of believe that he understands what's going on when no one else does.
Exactly.
And he does know what's going on, and he is okay now, but
then he puts his fingers in your face. Literally in your face.
Your face.
Yeah. It's a thrilling horror film, and it's a horrific thriller. Seriously. And you know what? It is a horror Agatha Christie. Because you do not know who is who.
Yeah.
Even our hero, Kurt Russell, he could be the thing.
He disappears for an expanse of the film, as does everybody at some point. So you're left at the end.
R.J. McCready, right?
Yeah, R.J. McCready. And Giles.
Yeah.
Sitting
Get
there.
Get me out of here! Cut me loose, goddammit!
Played by the
great,
most awesome Keith
David. And he'll be
David Keith.
Keith David. David Keith, yeah.
Two first name guy.
Keith David, and he'll be back in a few movies.
Oh, Keith David. I mean, next to Morgan Freeman, has that voice.
He does, yeah.
He just has that voice.
And I always liked Keith David. I remember him in Platoon. He was a great.
Oh, fantastic.
Remember the scene in Platoon? He writes a letter to his girl, and they're reading it. And they're like, "Dear is D-E-A-R, not D-E-R-E. Damn you dumb." And then Keith David says, "That's all right. She don't read too good no how." And he makes it in Platoon. He makes it through.
Yeah. One of my favorite characters in almost anything that he comes in.
Yeah, he's one of the great character actors we have.
A guilty pleasure of mine, I will admit.
Marked for Death.
Dirty Work. No, not Dirty Work.
Men at Work.
Men at Work.
I'm glad you said that. Now I'll admit it. Yeah, me too. I was just watching it the other day on MGMU HD channel. Yeah, it's so bad. Directed by Emilio Estevez, starring Emilio and his brother Charlie from 1990. But Keith David is so fucking funny.
You never touch another man's fries.
He's great.
And speaking of Keith David, he goes on to work with John again later, and we'll talk about
That's right, yeah, that's what I said. He's coming up again later.
Yeah.
But, no, the thing is, what we said about Halloween, I'm saying it about the thing.
Mm-hmm.
Pure horror perfection. It is perfect.
In a completely different way once again.
Yeah, and let me tell you, like I said about Halloween, let me tell you the one thing I don't like about it. Nothing. It's fucking flawless. It's perfect. You know what's wrong with it? I wanted it to keep going on.
Yeah.
And they stopped it.
Yeah.
Sons of bitches. Don't end the movie. I should still be fucking watching it. Yeah, it's so good. Bless you. It's so good.
Sneezing, it's so good.
Yeah, right. It gets all up in my nose. It's so good. Yeah. All of a sudden we're ghetto. Yeah, that's because we're talking about Keith David. No, it's
played a president.
He has?
Twice?
Keith David, president?
Oh, he was definitely president. I believe in what's the one with oh God, what's his name? Die Hard, William.
Bruce Willis.
Bruce Willis. Yeah.
The hell was he a president in with Bruce Willis?
The Future movie with.
Call in, folks, and let us know. No, that was Tiny Lister, wasn't it?
No.
It was Tiny Lister.
Was it?
That's one of my wife's favorite movies. She'd be one to ask. I do.
The
Fifth Element. You may divorce me, but I'm not a fan.
Right.
Visually stunning. Movie sucks, and it made me want to kill Chris Tucker.
Some people fall in love with it. Yeah, Chris Tucker was.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Well, what was it Keith David was president and had something to do with space also?
You could be right, but I remember it being Tiny Lister.
Tiny Lister.
You know Tiny Lister, the great big wrestler guy.
Oh, yeah.
He did so much.
Oh.
Debo in
Debo.
Friday.
Wait. What I first remember him from was that god-awful Hulk Hogan movie.
No Holds Barred. I almost
Zeus!
said that. I almost said that, but I'm like, he won't know that.
You know
terrible.
What? Now that I know who that you're talking about, that is him.
Am I right?
Yeah. That is him.
Fucking Zeus. Yeah, I saw that movie at Northgate Mall in Decatur, Illinois, because my buddy wanted to go. I hated wrestling then. I hate it now. Can you imagine what I was thinking through that movie? Holy fuck, I hated it.
Oh my
Jesus.
God, that's so bad. Best line in that movie. He's beat the shit out of everybody else.
There?
He's holding a guy by his throat, and he goes, "What's that smell?"
Poopy! I don't even remember that. I hated that movie. Hulk Hogan, whatever.
And then he
he's
proceeded to
racist.
Berate his racism on everybody.
I was about to say, and he's apparently racist. Yeah, it's okay. And in his defense, he said, "No, I'm not defending him. I'm saying he, in his defense, said, I was angry and I said it." Oh well, okay, you're still a racist. If you said it out of anger, you're a racist.
Yeah, that's true.
Because you know what?
That's true, but at the same time,
I've been angry at a few black people in my day. I've never even thought to call them that.
But at the same time, I'll say this: we do live in a society where we are really policed on everything that we say, absolutely everything, and you can react to something out of anger and say something out of spite that your heart of hearts doesn't mean. And now we live in a society where that's captured on film, and it is you, and it defines you, and it's who you are.
That's a good point. That is a good point.
And I believe in that to some degree. Like, when I hear somebody being a true douchebag, I'm like, we caught you. But when I hear somebody, like, sometimes I'm like, maybe he was just speaking out of his ass, just speaking out of anger. Whether Hogan was one side of that coin or the other, I don't know.
That's a good point.
I actually haven't even heard the clip. Or I haven't even watched it. So I can't speak to one side or the other.
I would agree with you on that, and I changed my view. I can't say whether he's racist or not. I will say that Mel Gibson might have a little racism in him.
Well, that's the other side of the coin.
Just a little bit. And you know what I love about Mel Gibson? And let me tell you something. I'm one of these people, and I've said this in person and on the podcast before.
Fantastic director and actor, unfortunately.
Thank you. Yes. I can separate, except, you know what, if Woody Allen, one of my all-time favorites, if it would have come out that all that bullshit was true, I might have not been able to watch Woody Allen movies. Maybe. Is that terrible that it's a maybe?
I can understand that.
But Mel Gibson getting drunk and talking shit and maybe letting his racism come out, is he the only racist working today in Hollywood? I doubt it. Is he the only bigot, chauvinist? I doubt it. And yet, like you said, he's a great director, and he's a great actor, and I've never given up on Mel. I've never given up on him.
He's done so many roles and films that he directed that I now respect to the highest degree. So.
Fucking A, man. His every movie he's directed, I've either liked or loved.
It's true.
Yeah.
And
he's working on a new one. Set in World War II.
And I can't wait to see it.
I'm excited, yeah.
Well, John Carpenter.
Yeah, The Thing, I think we thinged it up there.
Yeah, fantastic. Watch.
It's your favorite. It's my second favorite. Another 5-star. In a row, this guy, so far. 5-star, 5-star, 5-star. And we dip away from the 5 stars a little bit, but we're still in a 3.5-star zone on this next one. And it's a little ditty based on his first, I think his only, Stephen King adaptation. Christine.
Yes. And
one of his biggest hits as well.
I will say, one of his biggest hits, and not a movie I hate whatsoever.
His second studio film after The Thing.
Not my favorite. It's
not my favorite either.
It's not something that immediately jumps to my mind when I think of John Carpenter, though it is very well respected in the industry by fans,
Mm-hmm.
and it was shot very well. And
Oh,
I
yeah.
don't
And-
really
and
have
it's
a
one
gripe
of his
with
best scores.
it. Yeah, I don't really have a gripe with it at all.
I agree with you, but I think I like it a little better than you. Apparently, I give it 3.5 stars. It's and he didn't write it this time. It's the first one he didn't fully write.
Right.
And it looks beautiful. It's filmed beautiful. The acting is great. Keith Gordon is amazing as Arnie.
As Arnie, little Arnold.
The great Roberts Blossom does the cameo as the guy who sells him the car. Lets him know about the word shitter. Death to the shitters of the world. And another lost person here, Robert Prosky is the guy who owns the garage. Shut your pie hole.
Yeah.
And the not so great John Stockwell is his best friend.
Yeah.
And the even worse Alexandria Paul is his girlfriend.
Yeah.
But no, it's a I like the book better. That's kind of a common thing in books turned into movies.
Though he wasn't too unfaithful.
He wasn't
to
too
the story.
no, he was pretty.
It's just as in books,
close.
you can always have that more inclusive.
Yeah. And it's a
backbone.
And it's a little darker. One thing, I don't know if it was the studio telling him to do it. I haven't watched Christine with the commentary yet. But one thing he does at the end, which I don't like, because we're pretty much sure it's the car doing everything. And Arnie's not in it when it does everything. Right. Yet at the ending, when they're trying to stop the car, and they see and his best friend and the girl go to the garage to destroy Christine.
Yeah.
There's a point after it's already chased them and crashed. Carpenter cuts just for a second and shows us Keith Gordon inside the car.
Yeah.
And I'm like, no, I didn't want to see that. I wanted it to be ambiguous.
Yeah.
And then at the end, the jump scare, jumps after her, but then dies when he dies, then Christine's lights go out. That's kind of cool.
Yeah.
But I didn't need to see him inside the car. And it's a little much like, and don't get me wrong, I love Stephen King, and I love a lot of his books. But much like his books, there's a little too much character stuff. Let's get to the meat here.
Yeah.
Lots and lots of yapping and talking and hanging out in high school and
where that can play in a book, because a good book you're into, you want more depth, more detail, you want it to keep going.
Yeah.
In a movie, it can play too long, and in my particular case, it did that just a little bit. Again, I would choose this movie over so many
Stephen King adaptations.
Craft horror movies out there, anything.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing.
It's not a bad movie.
Don't get us wrong, folks. And again, I think I like it a little. I think you're probably at 3 stars. I don't know what scale you use, but I like it. It's an enjoyable movie. I saw it a couple times in the theater. I was a freshman in high school. Yes, I'm old. It came out in '83. But no, it's a very enjoyable movie.
Can you hear me over there, old man?
Huh? I'm putting the podcast on the intranet. Have you heard about this thing?
Huh? What is that?
I think Al Gore invented it.
Huh?
Right.
What? Purple. I want applesauce. God damn it.
For Ross Perot.
Damn kids, get out of my... Truman, that was a president, god damn it.
All of a sudden, I'm an old Jewish man. Right.
But, god damn it.
That's Billy Crystal. That's my tip of the hat to Billy Crystal and his old Jewish man.
God damn it.
But anyway, no, I like Christine a lot. I don't love it. And but hey, kudos to Carpenter. It was his first studio film. He still made it his own way, and he still got to keep. That's one thing we haven't talked about. When he signed on for Halloween, he said, "Okay, I'll do it, but I want my name above the title, and I want Final Cut."
Right.
And in all of his movies, even his studio films, it still says John Carpenter's block.
Yeah.
Even Christine, which is Stephen King, it says John Carpenter's Christine. And it's not a perfect movie, like we said. And one of his best scores. He did the score again.
Yeah.
Great score.
Yeah.
Couple of great moments. Christine is cool.
Yeah, I mean, who doesn't love a badass candy apple red car?
Death to the shitters of the world. It's still a good movie.
Yeah. And from there, I guess let's drive this puppy on to, well, I guess I'm going to have to defer to you as to what's next. I know what would come.
We're still in the studio system on this one.
I know it would be one of the two. I can't remember which came first.
The chicken.
It's either a amazing story about politics and
Nope.
he's shaking his head,
Nope.
So it's not that one. So then it's an awesome story about religion and creepy things in the basement.
Nope. You're skipping 2.
Oh,
my friend.
am I?
2 and 1 you're going to kick yourself for skipping over.
Oh.
But before that, you might kick yourself for this too. I'll give you a hint. Jenny Hayden. I mean you no harm, Jenny Hayden.
I mean you no harm. Wait, what? Oh.
Starring one of the only Carpenter movie besides his little student film to be nominated for an Oscar for Best Actor for Mr. Jeff Bridges. And that film is...
And it's because it's not in the horror genre that I forgot Starman.
Starman, baby.
Starman.
I'm going 4 stars on that. I love it. And trust me, I'm not biased. There's... Later down the road, I'll give you a thumbs down on a Carpenter movie, buddy.
And I always hate to be unversed, especially in someone that I love and know so much, but being outside of the horror genre, I have not seen No, I've seen it. I know the general principle of the movie. I know that it's something that's supposed to lead you to believe, is he bad, is he good? That whole double entendre of do you fear it or love it? And I have not seen it in recent enough times to really get delve into it. But I know that it was his break from horror to show that he could make a film.
And he could.
And it starred Jeff Bridges, and it was critically acclaimed, and it was a good movie.
And a huge hit.
And I remember watching it, in my youth. I am a little bit younger than my counterpart here.
That's all right.
And my libation is currently
his libation is spilling over here. Yes, folks, we're having beers on the podcast.
It prematurely ejaculated.
Right, yeah. Well, like I said, it happens to everybody.
So I understand its significance. I just wish I was more versed to talk about the actual film. So instead, I'll defer to you, Anthony.
Well, thank you. It's like a real show. Well, thank you, Matt. So, folks, no, Starman, and again, I'm not biased. It's just he's a great fucking movie maker. It's a great film. It was kind of, and I'm not being true to this, I'm being silly, but it's kind of his apology to the people who, we didn't mention this on the thing. Groundbreaking. People trashed it because it was so gory and never seen anything like that. And it flopped because why? E.T. came out earlier that summer. And they wanted happy aliens and not ugly aliens.
And people weren't ready.
Yeah, they weren't ready for that. And Starman, in a way, was his sorry guys, how about this one? And Steve Martin, I don't know where that came from. Jeff Bridges is
my favorite Martian.
Right. Ray Walston. Jeff Bridges is an alien who comes down, and he needs to meet up with his ship in Arizona, and he lands somewhere in the Pacific Northwest, and he goes to Karen Allen's house, and Karen Allen is a grieving widow, and her husband is Jeff Bridges. And so the alien, so's not to freak her out, he doesn't understand that it will anyway. He explains later that he took it to make her feel better, make her feel easier. Takes the shape of her husband and has her drive him to Arizona to meet up with his. And along the way, she thinks she's being kidnapped. Yeah, literally. She thinks she's being kidnapped, so the cops are after him, and then the government. Wonderful Charles Martin Smith plays the government guy who knows he's probably not out to hurt her. And of course, halfway, as Hollywood movies go, Carpenter didn't write this one. Halfway through the movie, she realizes he's not out. They fall in love through a couple of really beautiful moments. Here's something we never talk about Carpenter, and I don't think it'll come up again in his au revoir, but there are moments in Starman that are so beautiful. There's a scene,
touching and emotional.
Very, yes, that's what I mean. Yes, emotionally beautiful.
What, Tom Atkins plowing? Jamie Lee Curtis doesn't.
Right.
Doesn't do
well, he bought one of her paintings and said they were nice while they were in bed, like the old joke, in bed. No, there's a scene where they stop at a roadside attraction, and this is what a roadside attraction. Jesus, it's late. A roadside diner. Come on, come on. Yeah.
See the Two-Faced
They
boy.
they stop at a roadside diner, and she's getting ready to like make a break for it. And when they get there, they see this hunter who's stopping to eat as well, and there's a dead deer on his, and you see Bridges, he keeps looking at it, and then they cut to inside the restaurant, and she says, I need to go to the bathroom, and she's gonna go.
Right.
And she comes out and sees that he keeps looking out the window at the deer, and he goes out to the deer, and the music strikes up, and it's very beautiful, and he touches the deer, and you just see him standing at the deer with his hands on it. There's no giant special effect. And then the deer gets up, runs off, and Bridges puts his arms out like, go home, and the deer runs back into the woods, and you see it on Karen Allen's face. That's what turns her, like, oh, he's kind, he's gentle. And it's beautiful, and there's like 2 or 3 beautiful moments like that you don't expect from a Carpenter film. And it's a wonderful movie, and Karen Allen is wonderful. She should have been nominated as well. Bridges was nominated for Best Actor. Should have won. He should have had like 6 Oscars by then. I love Bridges. But it's a great film. I give it 4 stars. It's not your normal, like if you listen to this podcast and say cool, and you go out and get like Carpenter's first 8 movies, this is so anti-John Carpenter you won't even believe it.
It did feel different than his pace.
It's Spielberg Carpenter.
Everything.
It's Carpenter Spielberg.
Right.
Yeah.
I can agree to that. And since we're on show number 2 and trying to get through show
we'll do
number
it.
2.
We'll make it. Because there's a couple where there's not a lot to talk about.
there are a few.
Kindly.
But
yeah.
Unfortunately, there's like 7 before that.
That's all right. We'll make it. We're good.
All right. So rolling right along.
Rolling right along.
Next. So then you'd have to correct me because you said I was off.
Yes, you skipped one big one that we saw together at the movie theater, my friend.
One big one.
What? We saw 2 John Carpenter movies at the movie theater.
Oh,
we saw Escape from New York.
Kurt Russell.
Yeah, that's right. There we are.
I forgot about this one because again, it's not horror, but it's just kick-ass awesome.
It's a masterpiece.
I mean,
1986.
Seriously.
Big Trouble in Little China.
Big Trouble, Little China.
Masterpiece.
The 3 storms.
That's right. Jack Button.
Jack Button.
You're not put here to get it.
We referenced the movie earlier.
We did, and I think I said that exact same fucking line.
Sorry,
folks.
You're talking about a movie that single-handedly created a Mortal Kombat character.
Exactly. And what's weird, that movie is so popular. It's so huge. It's so in genre lore. It is so big. And when it came out, it was a huge flop.
And it's just fun.
20th Century Fox never let him make another movie for him because that was such a big flop.
And it's made so much money on the back end for them that maybe they should
it has. Yeah,
maybe
it
they
has.
should reconsider.
It has made its money back tenfold by now. Yeah.
And just a fun flick.
It is so fun. Where Kurt Russell played a serious Clint Eastwood as Snake Plissken, he plays a hilarious John Wayne as Jack Burton. Even with a drawl. He does that, And I tell you what, it's a thrill a minute, it's a laugh a minute. It
borders so many things at the same time.
It's just a blast.
And for any fan of martial arts, it came out of left field and told you this story of wizardry and darker things going on, and you just buy in.
Oh yeah, every minute. Yeah.
They go into an alley. This clan fight happens. The 3 storms show up, and you're like, the 3 storms, and what the fuck is going on here?
Mm-hmm. And then they drive through Lopan. I drove right through him, Wang. I drove right through him. Yeah, come on, Jack. We gotta go.
And then he shot light out of his eyes and his mouth.
Yeah, there's light coming out of his eyes. Yeah.
But unfortunately, that magic can be solved by splashing street water into your eyes.
No, right. You better? Yeah. Okay. And then they move on. So why even do that?
And go on.
Exactly. And that's so. Yeah. It's just so much fun, and it's wacky and loony, and on purpose.
Does it all with a zeal.
I don't know, Matt, if you listened to this episode yet, but the great Big Trouble in Little China aficionado Tiffany Sisman, the first guest we had, we did 2 parts. part one of our cheesy movies, we started big with our two favorite cheesy movies, Flash Gordon and Big Trouble. And she loves it as well. It's a great movie. I don't understand why it didn't find an audience, because when you think quintessential 80s thumbs up cheese, there you go. Right.
It could have been mismarketing. Who knows for the time?
But John Carpenter's name alone should have got people there.
Agreed. Maybe it was that people were looking for what they were expecting out of him, which would be another drama film to follow up horror. But he went from horror to drama to kung fu comedy.
That's right, yeah.
You know?
With kung fu supernatural comedy. Yeah.
Just so...
I love it so much. I love it so much, like many of his movies. Actually, that's probably the one that I could probably watch every day. John Carpenter movies, I can watch most of them every week and not get tired of them.
The old Pork Chop Express.
The old Pork Chop Express. Check is in the mail. Yeah, it's eminently quotable. Not just from Jack Burton, Lopan. Indeed. Yeah,
it's about 10.
Right. Yeah. When he goes up to the girl, he's tickling her. Yeah, it's the great James Hong, the great Chinese actor James Hong, plays Lopan. He's been in so many great films, but yeah, it's such a good movie. Dennis Dune plays Wang, his sidekick, Burton's sidekick.
Who shall also return.
Oh, yes, he very next movie, by the way. Yeah, very next.
As does another actor in this movie.
Yes,
Mr.
you're right.
Egg Chen.
Jesus. Yeah, Mr. Egg Chen, the great Victor Wong, rest in peace. He's no longer with us.
Yeah.
It's he's the funniest scene for me. I mean, there's so many funny scenes, but if I had to choose one, is when they get Egg Chen and they're going in the sewers, and that monster comes out of the water, and Egg Chen, go away, you will come here no more. And Jack Burton, Kurt Russell,
what the hell is that?
Yeah, he's like, what? Huh? What will come here no more? Right? His face is so terrified. It's so wonderful.
And it's like, I thought sewers were for waste disposal,
right,
not spider monsters.
Yeah. That's something else. There's monsters in this movie. Monsters,
flying
supernatural
eyeball
shit, flying
things,
weird, gooey eyeball things.
Yeah, that give telepathy to...
Yeah. It was John Carpenter's tip of the hat. He loves the Hong Kong martial arts films where they fly through the air, and he does that tenfold.
Yeah, the Wing Chun style.
Yeah, the Wing Chun style. Thank you. And it is one, and not just John Carpenter. It is one of the all-time, in my opinion, most fun movies ever made.
Absolutely, and
funnest, most fun. Let's do most fun. That's
most
right.
Fun. And it created a character. Though I liked wind, though I liked thunder, lightning. He's barely in it. If you go back and you rewatch the movie, he's barely in it at all. But he created a character that everyone was talking about on the schoolyard during that time. And though it wasn't popular and it didn't make it around to everybody, I saw it when I was young. It may have been on video when it got there very quickly.
Yeah, sadly quickly.
But immediately everybody was doing the test chaps, the chest
chaps.
The chest taps.
That's the last beer we're having tonight, folks.
Yeah, and shooting lightning off at people, And
then
throwing beanbags at each other and going, lightning bolt, lightning bolt, lightning bolt.
I love the scene where they break in and steal the girl from the brothel.
Oh.
And then he grabs the girl and he's he's holding on to the lightning bolt like it's a rope and just riding it up. It's amazing stuff in that movie.
So cool. Which he was doing even up until his demise, which was awesomely Egg Chun just being like, Egg Chun. Let me tip over this big piece of concrete and it's going to hit you in the head.
And you're done. Yeah, right. That's it.
There is one other actor, or should I say actress.
Kim Cattrall.
Kim
Cattrall. Purposely doing an awful performance. She's over the top, like a 1940s, hey, what are we doing here, guy?
I'm on top of things, except for I'm still a scared girl.
Yeah, exactly. No, she was. A lot of people say, God, she was terrible in that. No, she was great because she was doing that on purpose. She was overacting on purpose.
And you know, for all you fans of Sex and the City, Kim Cattrall did this, and before that,
Don't say it.
you know what I'm talking
No,
about.
don't say it. I don't want to be reminded.
Porky's!
No! Ah, I hate that movie.
Wait.
And then she followed up. She.
Boys' locker room.
Right, yeah.
Oh, come on.
I don't. I'm sorry. I don't. I never.
Sir.
I was 14 when that came. Or no, I'm sorry. I was 13 when that came out, and I still didn't like it.
Not even that scene.
My uncle took. Well,
Not
no,
even that scene.
no. Kim Cattrall's scene was Oscar worthy. You're right about that. Yeah.
Sir.
Yeah, right. Oh, you are right.
Yes, sir.
I'm now remembering, and I remember. And pardon me, folks, all you lady listeners out there, but I have to confess this. In Porky's. My uncle took me because my dad said, I'm not taking you. Kim Cattrall, you saw her pubic hair, and I remember thinking, oh my God, it's pubic hair. I don't think I'd seen that before
And you know, that goes to speak about something completely different. We remember the days
and now
of not
for some-
shaved
Exactly.
and trying to tell a story with your porno.
Right.
It's this detective. He gets laid a lot.
The 70s and 80s pornography where you didn't know where the hair began on your head and it ended on your back. Yeah, right.
Which is one of the reasons that, you know, I never mind it. It's not a deal breaker for me. Now,
This is a way different podcast, but I have an affinity for 70s porn, if you have to talk porn.
Doodle-doodle-doodle-doo. Oh, Mr. Greenfield!
Right. And then Jamie Gillis did something. Rest in peace him, too, by the way.
That's true.
You know how you know when you're old? When all the porno actors that you learned when you were a kid start dying.
And not just being, you know, dying of crazy AIDS after being...
No, yeah,
drug
just
induced.
of natural causes. That's, fuck, I'm old. Hey, can I tell you something? When I started this podcast, I said on air, movies lead to different conversations, and, sometimes we'll talk about things in our lives that were affected at the time of the movie or by the movie. Things we do in our lives that are affected by the movie. And I even joked that we'll sometimes work through heinous shit through movies. But guess what? I never thought we'd get to 70s porn. Woo!
Hey!
We did it!
Full circle,
Yeah.
baby.
We are doing a John Carpenter episode, and we're doing a John Carpenter episode. John Carpenter, all the fun from Boston.
Cabinet.
And we got to, we're doing John Carpenter, and we got to Jamie Gillis. It's pretty interesting. And for those of you who don't know Jamie Gillis, look him up, and that's all I'm going to say.
Yeah.
And then you'll say, ugh, really? Oh my God!
Is that the hedgehog? No, he's someone else.
No, that's somebody else, right? Anyway, we're Big Trouble.
So
one of the most fun movies ever made. Don't listen to the naysayers. See it. And I said we'd get here, and we did. That's the one John Carpenter movie my wife hates.
Oh.
And it just played over in August at the AFI, and we went to see it. And she said she'll give it one more try because she's never seen it on the big screen. Nope. Still didn't change her mind. She just hated it in big widescreen digital projection.
No good whatsoever, huh?
So, but that's okay. I still love her. We have enough to bond over. But, goddamn, that hurts. It hurts me.
She was willing to go watch the movie with you.
And that speaks volumes, doesn't it?
Cool points.
A movie she hates, and she went to see it again. And by the way, on the flip side of that coin, my 7-year-old son, who was 6 at the time, loves it. And he can quote it.
Of course he does.
He loves Big Trouble in Little China. Now that leads us to...
So now I guess my question
Now you can go to the basement.
I think it was the story of the liquid devil as opposed to the political story.
Indeed. It is a...
Okay.
Devil in a bottle. Green devil in a bottle.
Green devil in a bottle.
You're a bastard in a basket.
All of a sudden, I'm Daniel Day-Lewis.
I drink your milkshake.
You're a devil in a bottle. You're a devil in a bottle.
Green devil.
I drink your evil. Anyway, yes. John Carpenter's, in my opinion, most underrated movie.
I can agree to that.
1987, Prince of Darkness.
Prince of Darkness.
Reunited with Donald Pleasance.
I remember the movie clearly. I remember seeing the pictures of it from Fangoria magazine, anticipating this movie so much, and not at all being disappointed.
It's a weird thing. It came out in 87. I was a senior in high school. I saw it at the theater. I remember liking it but not loving it. And throughout the years, I now love it. It just grew. It's one of those ones that, for me, grew on me with each viewing.
Every view got you a little further along.
And another...
I can see that.
Outstanding. It's probably my top 3 favorite Carpenter scores. It's fantastic.
For me, it grabbed me immediately. So, for those that don't know, it's a story about grad students who are pulled in to investigate something found in the basement of a very old church, run by Donald Pleasance.
That's right, the great Donald Pleasance.
So basically, Michael Myers.
All of a sudden, we're lyricking the great Donald Pleasance, ladies and gentlemen.
Donald Pleasance.
How important is the script? Is that important to the movie?
And he shows up to say,
right, yeah.
And basically, he discovers what is in essence the devil.
Literally.
In a green liquid vial
that they've kept for hundreds of years.
Trapped in this basement.
Of a church.
Yeah, basically.
In downtown L.A.
They use some, like Naruto, capture jutsu, whatever shit in there. But they got this thing, like, bound in a basement. But this eclipse is coming.
It's actually technically supposed to be the devil's essence, but it's the devil.
Effervescence. Oh, de devil.
By Fabergé.
And so, basically, it's a meld of religion and science. And so what he proceeds to do is, instead of calling in a religious faction to help him battle this thing, he calls in a bunch of...
grad students
to come away for a fun weekend of fighting the devil.
But that's because they're studying theology, and they're studying I can't remember the exact term that they're studying, but like a neuroscience, like a not paranormal, but
right, something of an extra sensory perception type. And it goes into that with the whole tachyon pulse.
It does
thing in the end.
There are times when if you're not paying attention, you're not going to get it.
Right. It does stay to a clip that sci-fi fans will be happy with. Yeah. It does not lend itself too far into the void of the supernatural to not turn them on as well, I guess.
Right, exactly. Yeah, it's a little something for everybody.
And
Alice Cooper.
And Alice Cooper. Who's going to stab you with a bicycle.
That's right.
Awesome.
Love that. Yeah, it's great.
Yeah. And so, the grad students get there and all hell breaks loose.
Literally. The devil, the essence of the devil in the bottle is kind of speaking to all the homeless people that are hanging out outside and making them his minions.
And surrounding the church and thus trap all the people inside.
Yeah, they can't get out.
Because now you realize that they were not coming there of their own free will, but they were led to be there because there's a certain amount of things that need to happen for this whole key to unlock.
And one of them has a psychic connection, whether she doesn't know it, to the essence of the devil.
Yes, and thus becomes a big character towards the end.
Indeed. Great end shot again. Another great end shot, man.
And, at the same time, let's squeeze in a little Rosemary's Baby.
Oh, yeah.
Let's, let's...
Minor Exorcist references.
Oh, great. Long pan shots down hallways. Lots of creepy staircases.
Chicks vomiting
people coming
bile.
Back from the dead. And You have Wang again.
Wang and Victor Wong. Wang and
Victor,
Wong.
Wang and Wong. If it's Wang, it can't be Wong.
That's right. Apologies to all of our Asian American listeners out there.
So, returning from your previous movie of Big Trouble in Little China, you have two great actors
Victor
coming
Wong
back
and
in,
Dennis Dune. Yeah.
and being hilarious in their own rights again.
Dennis Dune was hilarious. When he's stuck in that closet and they're coming through.
Get the hell out of here!
He's great. Yeah.
And that movie again, it's one. This one starts a little slower.
It does, but man, when it kicks in, it's like Aliens. It has that very slow build, and then the last 45 minutes, you can't catch your breath. It's terrifying, and edge of your seat, I think.
It really
it's fantastic.
Is. And
I started out giving it 3 stars, and over the years now, I'm at 4. It's 4 stars, 4 big ones.
I loved it from the beginning. I remember deeply anticipating the scene where, hello,
Yeah.
standing at the window, and here's this guy that left a while ago who was killed. You already know that by the homeless
I've got a
people.
message for you, and you're not gonna like it.
And he proceeds to melt into a sea of scorpions, cockroaches, centipedes, and all sorts of bugs, and it plays so well. This body just falls apart in sections, and
Fantastic.
they did it so well.
They did.
And
it's not overly done. And just little trivia, that is the special effects guy.
Who did
plays that role? Yeah.
That's awesome.
That's why he's the first one
Yeah.
to really go, because I got to get out here and work on the shit for everybody else. Yeah.
So I gotta die now.
Yeah, right. But yeah, it's a special effects guy. I didn't know that until I bought the Blu-ray and watched the special features. Yeah.
And it comes down to time parallels at the end.
It does, yeah. The sun lining up with the Earth.
Yeah, the aforementioned day of the coming of the Antichrist.
They are literally trying to keep the devil and the the same thing, from behind the wall.
Right.
And the wall philosophically, metaphorically, and literally.
And quite literally. The scene with the mirror liquid reaches. And the devil hand on the other side, and you see the darkness and the features of him, and the brave decision of one of the central characters to take things into her own hand, at the expense of her own life, to end this problem for everybody else, only to resurface sometime later in what everybody has dreamed about all movie long. To have that time loop was just brilliant and way ahead
fantastic.
of its time.
And
way ahead of
and like I said, it went up, and now I consider it a Carpenter classic. You talking about it, I'm like, it might be 5 stars. It's that fucking good. It is so fucking good. It is really good. Yeah, you forget about I'm moving away from the microphone. I apologize. You forget about the depth of that film.
Well, there is one more to come. But in my opinion, the Apocalypse trilogy is just 3 of my favorite films of all time.
Yeah, John Carpenter, for those of you who don't know, did what he considers his apocalyptic trilogy, starting with The Thing.
Moving on to
Prince of Darkness, and then
a film to come.
Well, yeah, we'll be to that next, or not next, but a few down. But yeah, no, Prince of Darkness was a minuscule hit. It didn't really. I mean, it made its money back by a few million, but it didn't fire up the box office.
And understandably, because it really is.
It made you think. It's a horror movie where people had to think.
It did, and it was ahead of its time that way, and then it made you think, and I think it would do bigger now.
I think so too.
But at the same time, it was a film for horror fans. Back then, if you weren't into the extremely creepy or gross, you weren't going to watch this movie.
Right, yeah,
exactly.
Know?
What Alice Cooper and his stage show is going to do some bicycle stabbing?
Yeah, that was a great scene.
Oh,
too,
fantastic.
Very tense.
Yeah. He comes down and a little staircase surrounded by a fence on one side, and it's all concrete on the other and brick. And all of a sudden one path is cut off. You turn around, the other path's cut off.
This
stuck
guy's
there in
being
the middle.
surrounded by homeless people led by Alice Cooper. And they're all under a spell.
Unless you're smart like, who was it who jumped down there? Whoever the main actor
He was the other Simon from Simon and Simon. Do you remember that show?
Vaguely.
The other Simon brother.
Yeah.
Jameson Parker.
But he smartly jumped down, tested their reaction, and quickly
get
jumped
the fuck back in.
up.
Yeah, exactly.
Meanwhile, they're coming.
Meanwhile, like all horror movies, the nerdy guy jumps down and bites it.
Mm-hmm.
But no, it's a great film, and we do a lot of Lost Treasure shows, and I'm sure you'll be involved in a few. But it's a true lost treasure because not a lot of people even give a shit unless you're a true Carpenter fan.
Yeah.
Even really big horror fans are like, yeah, it's all right.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a great film.
For me, it's part of that trilogy that I hold in the dearest of my heart, and probably the second one would be considered in the same vein. But again, I love the whole trilogy.
Yeah, me too. And a quick shout out to Emily Barrios, who is going to be a guest on this podcast.
Extremely knowledgeable horror fan who
She is.
I've only recently become acquainted to just via messaging each other about films.
She runs a great group. Any horror fan, I lead you to Let's Watch Horror Movies.
Let's Watch Horror Movies.
It's a fun group. We need to build it up.
And
there's not enough people in it.
And it's for the inspired. It's really for the deeper horror fan who has an understanding, who can really talk shop.
Indeed, yeah. It's not just, wasn't that cool when Freddy did the thing? Yeah, I like Jason. So anyway, it's more than that.
And I look forward to having a chance to converse with her more.
Indeed we will, yes. Indeed we will. Indeed we will, sir. On what show? I don't know yet. Well, we later. right.
Still something to unveil.
Indeed. All the people in part one, we kept saying it. Part one ends, they're like, what the fuck? They said they were going to say something at the end. Well, we mean part two, folks.
It's one show. It's like, if you look at Kill Bill.
Yeah, it's one movie. I was about to say that, too. Kill Bill and Godfather. Yeah, it's one movie. The third, whatever. It's still one movie.
Rolling right along.
Yes. But no, seek out Prince of Darkness. It's a true John Carpenter lost treasure. It's a great film.
Absolutely.
Yeah, a great film. Now, sir, we move on to what you were speaking of earlier.
Okay.
The political.
The political / subliminal messaging / do the media control what I think? Maybe?
Exactly. / poke at Reaganomics at the time. The Reagan era, I should say.
God rest his soul.
The great Roddy Piper.
Rowdy, who even was tributed by a great fighter of our days, a female that we all would probably like to have sex with, but
Double R, baby.
Would not like to get our ass kicked by,
Ronda
or
Rousey,
arm
baby.
Broken in half by.
Indeed.
Ronda Rousey. The Roddy Piper.
Roddy Piper, who she took her Rowdy Ronda Rousey name from.
Thus she gave
And my wife and I met him at a horror convention. My wife has a picture with him.
As did I, my friend.
Is he not one of the most pleasant, friendly guys you've ever met at a horror in your life?
Open. Nice.
He had such a
honest.
Big
personality.
He hugged her.
Yeah.
He did a little choke out thing for the picture with me, and we didn't even ask him to do that. But when he was thanking her, and she said, "I like you in this," and thanking, and he turned to me, and I'm like, I'm a huge They Live fan. I love it. And he just had this big grin, and he shook my hand, and he was so warm, and oh my God!
They're really, from my times of meeting celebrities, especially in the horror genre, two people that I can remember that were as warm. I can't even say warmer.
Can I say George Romero? Is that your other one?
Oh well, George Romero.
I remember you told me
what
he did for you.
Well, to speak on this, I came at the end of a festival. The Dead was the feature of it all. They're all there. I had spent all my money down in the trade room. I walk up to him. It's the end of the day. And I say, look, unfortunately, I have no money left, but I just wanted to come and say thank you so much for everything that you've done. And he said,
Talking about
well,
George
he has
Romero.
something for me to sign. And then his publicist immediately walks up and goes, no, he doesn't have any money. He goes, give me that thing. And he just signs my poster, Stay Scared, Matt. Just awesome. So cool.
The great George Romero, ladies and gentlemen. Yeah, no, that's such a cool story. I like
and he's just awesome.
He's the shit, yeah.
And I would say, Tony Todd.
He was my wife has a picture with him, too.
He gave me...
Why is my wife in all these pictures and I like horror better than she does?
And Tony Todd gave me 20 minutes of real talk. We just shot the shit. It was a lull that I happened to be in that festival where I got his time and his attention, and apparently I made him laugh, and he kind of liked my personality, and we just shot the shit for 20 minutes.
That's
so that
cool.
was probably my
That's
coolest.
the cool thing about those festivals. Did I show you that, sir?
Mr.
That's
Ian
that.
McKellen?
I'm showing him. No, it's Mr. Malcolm McDowell.
Malcolm McDowell.
I'm showing him a picture of me standing next to Malcolm McDowell with his arm around me. God bless him.
Need to get my eyes checked.
That's all right. No,
my droogs.
My droogies. So yeah, to any of you out there who are horror fans, and I was speaking with Emily Barrios about this the other day. She lives in Louisiana, and not enough horror conventions go down there. Yeah, not enough horror conventions go her way, and she lamented the fact that she hasn't been able to go in any. And I told her, I'm like, they're great. So I'm telling all of you, if you like horror, go to a convention, any convention. You're going to meet at least one person that's going to blow your mind that you're even seeing them. You might not be able to talk to them. They might be too busy. But just to see, you walk in that celebrity room, and it's fucking amazing. It's great. John Carpenter has done very few. He did one 3 years ago, and we were all ready to go. I had my shit to sign, and I was going to tell him, my dad grew up next to you, and I had my in, and couldn't wait to meet my hero, and my wife's aunt died, and we had to go to the funeral on the same day that John Carpenter was blah, 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 blah. Anyway, it's not her fault, but probably my one shot at seeing John Carpenter is blown. Yeah.
Let's just hope he wants a little cash that he doesn't need later.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But he did say in an interview that he had a great time and he wishes he did more. So maybe he'll do more.
Well, hopefully, because and
I'm gonna stalk the shit out. He's gonna get a restraining order against me.
We're doing a whole goddamn show about you.
That's right. This goes out to John Carpenter. Little ditty from Matt and Anthony called John Carpenter Part 2.
Part 2. Yeah, couldn't fit it into one.
Yeah.
All right.
So.
Yeah.
They Live. We got off the subject there.
Completely.
Again, Keith David bringing him back.
Yeah, Keith David once again coming back in.
Yeah.
And true, they had a great fight scene. You're talking about a big Keith David.
It's about a 10-minute fight scene, and just fun to watch. And it goes on, and you can't believe what they're doing. And it's a hard one.
And you enjoy it.
Oh, it's great.
Never for a second is it dull. It's somewhat hilarious. It's somewhat brutal. It's somewhat everything you want a fight scene to be.
And you feel all those emotions during those almost 10 minutes.
And, what else can you say about that movie?
Put the fucking glasses on! Right, yeah.
And then finally, his beat-up ass looks through the glasses and goes, what the fuck?
Exactly. For those of you who don't know, They Live, which was an hit, but it found an immediate audience on video.
Well, you speak about things that people don't want to talk about.
Yeah.
It's gonna find an audience eventually.
Yeah. No, it was John Carpenter's fuck you to the Reagan era of the 80s. The be happy by consuming and buying and watching your TV and enjoying, the fruits of spending your paycheck on stuff that you shouldn't be and just not worrying about world events. And what it is aliens have come down. They are slowly taking over. And they have this satellite at a TV station, which is a little silly, but whatever.
Well, it's just one of many.
No, I know. Yeah. And it blinds us to the fact that they're all walking around as aliens. They look like humans. Roddy Piper stumbles on these glasses that these rebels have designed to where you can see the aliens and see, like, if you
not
see
only that, but the subliminal
the signs
messaging that they're using
yeah.
to subjugate
yeah.
the people and keep them meek and keep them under their control.
Like, he goes past a walk sign that when he doesn't have the glasses on, it says walk, walk, walk. He puts the glasses on, sleep, sleep, sleep.
So
and
good.
then every sign he looks at with the glasses on, you know.
A hot chick saying, go on vacation, procreate.
Exactly, yeah. Money, this guy's holding money out, and he looks down with the glasses on and says, this is your God. And yeah, it's just a great political satire on the Reagan era of the 80s.
And played so well with a cast you wouldn't expect for such a... And he does it in such a fun way, again. You know,
And
he ramps up the action, he ramps up the fun.
he does.
And he has this girl with smoky green eyes. That
Blue, Meg Foster. Met her at they're blue, trust me.
in the film, didn't they
liked
feature them as green?
No, I think they were blue.
Oh.
But I've liked Meg Foster since I was a wee one. She's been around. But I met her at a convention, too. And she's in Rob Zombie's Lords of Salem.
Lords of Salem.
Rob Zombie, podcast coming.
Yeah. Worth his own.
Oh,
talk.
God, yes. Oh, God, yes.
Done some good, very few bad.
One awful, but that's another podcast.
Maybe shouldn't have been tackled in the first place.
Indeed.
Stick to what you do.
I'm talking about
Rob.
part 2. Right, exactly. But anyway, and Emily Barrios, she listens to all the podcasts, so I'm calling her out on this one. You need to see Lords of Salem all the way through. She's not a giant Rob Zombie fan. I'm trying to turn her. I don't think it's going to work, but it's a fun debate. Emily Barrios, I called you out.
I'm with you, and not that I'm anti-Emily, and just that I haven't made the time.
Anti-Emily? No, I'm just kidding. I know.
I'm not anti. I'm a Rob Zombie fan, and I have meant to seen it, and it's been on the list for a while. Just haven't found the convenience, time, or made the effort to see it yet, but it's going to be seen.
Indeed.
As a fan of Rob Zombie. It's just all about when I can get to it with no pretense.
That's one you have to get in the mood for, and Emily Barrios, again, said it best. There's no middle ground with that one. You love it or you hate it. There's no, it's okay. It's really, I mean, you'll see. That's another, John Carpenter.
Film.
Yeah, exactly. It's a polarizing film. Very polarizing.
Well, I guess we will see.
Indeed.
So, what else can we say about They Live other than I'm here to do two things.
Chew bubble gum and kick ass. And I'm all out of bubble gum. No, it's a great film. I give it 4.
I'd still give it a 4. I mean, like, it's damn entertaining. Anytime I come across it, and it's just fun, but thought-provoking. And I remember it was shown in my high school as a movie.
Was?
It was.
Holy shit!
Yeah, my teacher showed it as a way to show not only political satire, but media and ways that you can think about influence on you. And it was a good viewing.
Very nice.